This is a true dark web story. Two best friends, Vivian and Bella. They're sophomores studying programming in college. In their second year of college, they started having weekly assignments that were done at home. And Bella was the only one in class that was getting straight A's in these assignments. Vivian, which is Bella's best friend, wanted to ace these tests so bad. So she asked Bella to help her out. But Bella spilled the truth, telling Vivian that she never studied for these assignments. She had a guy from the deep web that was experienced in programming, and she pays him so little and he provides her the assignment answers. Vivian was kind of freaked out because she heard so many stories about the deep web. A few days later, the professor announced the next assignment date. Vivian went back home the same day and asked Bella how to get in touch with that same man. So Bella sent her the Onion web link, and that web link took her to a site that has a chat box with that man. So Vivian got in touch with that man as well, and surely she started acing all her tests with Bella. They were known as the smartest girls in that school. So weeks passed by, and Vivian sent questions to that man from the deep web for her next assignment. The man refused to take that payment for that specific assignment. Then he asked for another form of payment, so Vivian got confused and then offered to double the amount. The man still refused and insisted on taking inappropriate pictures from Vivian as a form of payment. The thing that scared Vivian was, how did the man know that she was a girl? Name, age, gender, and location are all supposedly anonymous on that website. But he somehow found out a few things about Vivian. She immediately logged out and quit contacting that man. The next day, Vivian goes to class and asks Bella if the man did the same thing to her. Bella said yes, I was already sending him inappropriate pictures regularly. And that same night, Vivian was at home having dinner. She got many calls from an unknown number. She picked up, and it was that man. And he told her that she has no choice but to send the pictures. Vivian eventually hung up the phone, and then an hour later, she received a text from another unknown number. She opened that video, and she saw Bella tied up on her bed, dead. There was a text right under the video saying, "You're next." She freaked out and then contacted the authorities. The police investigation took many months. Vivian eventually dropped out of that school and then transferred to another state. The scary thing behind all of this is that this man, that's a specialized programmer from the deep web, was never found, and he's still out there. This is the true dark web story, part 2. Jacob, a 21-year-old that had a very good friend named Steven. Steven was a very nice but quiet guy. He was also very insecure about his face, because his face had serious skin problems, and it was very hard for him to meet new people. He also had a lot of people making fun of him all the time, and that's what made him stay home almost every day. And Jacob was his only friend. Day by day, Jacob started noticing that Steven's emotions were getting darker. He was addicted to caffeine soft drinks all the time, and his appearance was getting worse. One day on the weekend, Steven gave Jacob a call so he can come over and chill and surf through some crazy things on the deep web. Steven told Jacob that he spends hours every day enjoying the stimulating videos on the deep web. He somehow felt like he can escape reality from the deep web. On another day, where Jacob was at Steven's place, Steven showed Jacob this website that he recently found on the deep web. It showed many pictures of people's skins and bones being separated. Jacob was completely disgusted, but Steven found interest in that website. The website offers a service that literally says, "Start a new life. Will make you have a new face." It was some sort of illegal plastic surgery of removing people's faces and transplanting them on clients that wanted them. Jacob was pretty sure that it was a fake site and all of it's a joke. But Steven unfortunately sent an email to the owners of that site. And a few days later, Steven disappeared. It was official, and it was reported that Steven was indeed missing till this day. Years went by, and Jacob still misses Steven very much. Jacob, from his house, started noticing a man that does not look familiar. He comes to his neighborhood once a week, stares at his house from across the road for a few minutes, and then just walks away. That man would regularly come every week and would do the exact same thing, while Jacob notices him from his window every single time. Jacob thought maybe that could have been the former owner of the house he lives in, but that was not the case. Was that Steven showing up with his new face? Because he still misses his friend Jacob. This is a true dark web story. In parts 1 and 2 of when I explained what the dark web is, I showed you guys a website that was on Tor that was taken down by the FBI in 2014 called Silk Road. Silk Road was an online shopping platform for illegal stuff. It was pretty much like Amazon, but for the black market. The story I'm about to tell you now involves Silk Road. A teenager named Charlie was addicted to psychedelics. Psychedelics are types of hard drugs that are legal in some countries but illegal in most countries. Charlie used to be in contact with his regular drug dealers from the dark web. One day he ran out of stock and he contacted the guys that he always does. But most of them were offline, so he assumed they might have been arrested. So Charlie decided to find a new drug dealer for himself. He stumbled across a guy on Silk Road that sells the same substances that he takes for around the same price. He got in touch with that man and gave him his address. The drug dealer asked for additional requests, so Charlie requested a disguised package. Since he lives with his mom, he doesn't want his mom to find out. A day later, Charlie receives a text from the drug dealer saying that he is on his way. So Charlie waited outside his house since the weather was not too bad. He got a text 2 hours later saying, "Meet me here instead," with a location address. He was quite upset that he waited for him all this time, but he eventually decided to go. Charlie finally reached that location and saw a black van with a guy wearing a hoodie inside it. He went over to the car, took his drugs, hopped back in his car and drove away. As he was driving back home, he noticed that the same black car was following him. He wanted to text the drug dealer asking why he's chasing him, but decided not to. He started driving faster and faster and eventually lost the guy. He started laughing hysterically, but then realized that he sent him his house address the previous day. He quickly reached home, and the first thing he noticed was his mom's car missing. He ran inside the house to see all their electronics missing, all the expensive furnitures were gone, and his mom stabbed dead on the floor. Right next to his mom's body, there was a note that says, "Enjoy the acid." Acid is another term for LSD, the psychedelic drug that Charlie bought. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There's a 1 in 3 chance police will never identify your killer if you were murdered in the United States. If the sun exploded now, you wouldn't know about it for another 8 minutes. 20% of children report hearing voices. There are 40 supervolcanoes around the world, capable of claiming 1 billion lives. And we are about 24,000 years overdue for an eruption. The air you breathe in train stations is 15% human skin. There are over 200 dead bodies on top of Mount Everest, because retrieving them is such a risk. They serve as markers for other hikers. When you die, your house cat is going to want to eat you. Speaking of pets, dogs like squeaky toys because they mimic the screams of their prey. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 2. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. The pacu fish from South America has human-like teeth. There's a haunted Russian radio station. It's a low-frequency radio station that's been broadcasting since 1982, and no one knows where the broadcast is originating. When you die, your hearing is the last sense you lose. Speaking of death, finally, the death outnumber the living, 15 to 1. You swallow 1 to 2 cups of mucus every day. Pine trees can grow in human lungs. A man once went into surgery to remove what doctors thought was a tumor, but it was a pine tree growing in his lungs. There was a chicken called Mike the Headless Chicken. He lived for 18 months after its head was cut off. In 1800s, dentures were made out of the real teeth of deceased people. Yeah, with one dentist visit, you would have been eating with a dead man's teeth for the rest of your life. Like for part 3. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so often that people invented safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used to eat mummies for medical purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors. And it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 4. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. If given access to it, butterflies will happily drink blood. Astronauts must drink 730 liters of recycled sweat and urine to live in space for a year. The hospital bed you were once in had many dead people laying on it. Speaking of death, 153,000 people die every day. You're not scared of being alone. You're scared of not being alone when you're supposed to be. After 10 minutes of watching yourself in a mirror, your brain gets bored and distorts your reflection, causing imaginary monsters such as Bloody Mary. Eventually, there will be more dead people on Facebook than alive. More than 7,000 people die every year due to the doctor's bad handwriting. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 5. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. In ancient Rome, soldiers used to drink fresh warm blood to cure epilepsy. There are antidepressants that eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion. The Exorcist movie resulted in many of its cast dying, including 2 actors whose characters died in the movie. In 2017, an asteroid named AG-13 passed by our home planet with less than the distance of the moon. Scientists saw it coming only 2 days before it could have hit Earth. One of the most haunted dolls is Robert. It belonged to a child named Eugene in 1904. The 2 most dangerous books are called Shams al-Ma'arif and Al-Ghazali. They carry rituals for summoning demons. In ancient England, people used tops of hollowed human skulls to drink and eat. At Harvard University, there's a book bound in human skin, like for part 6. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Horror movies use tracks that include infrasounds. They cannot be heard by human ears, but they are known to induce anxiety and heart palpitations. 44% of the information shared on worldwide news is inaccurate. To date, the US lost 6 nuclear bombs and never recovered them. According to paranormal experts, when you have a nightmare, real spirits or demons are trying to contact you, but your body rejects them and wakes you up for safety. In 1954, a man arrived at an airport and had a passport issued by the country of Torrid, which does not exist. Police locked him in a high secure room and he vanished. There are computers for the Amish, which have no internet, videos, or music. There are organizations that manipulate the stock market. Spending just a few months in Antarctica can shrink your brain. There's a lot more, like for part 7. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 8. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. An average human walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. There's future biotech technology when injected into prisoners. It makes them feel they served a 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. The blue whale ejaculates over 40 gallons of sperm when mating. Only 10% enters the female. And you always wonder why the sea tasted salty. If you block your nose when you sneeze, you can rupture a blood vessel in your neck that can make you bleed to death. People that are left-handed die 3 years faster than people that are right-handed. Watching horror films can burn up to 200 calories. You may be living the last year of your life without being aware of it. You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing just resets the clock. There's a lot more, like for part 9. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. If you smell burnt toast and there's nothing actually burning, you are most probably having a stroke. If you have 5 brothers, one of you will go to 5 funerals, while another won't see even one. If you shiver randomly, that means a ghost passed near or through you. There are 2 days that don't last 24 hours. The one of your birth and the one of your death. In the original Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf forced her to eat her grandma. You've never actually seen your face, only photos and reflections. People who fall in love lose an average of 2 friends each. By the time you reach the age of 18, on average, you have 3,300 weekends left in your life. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 11. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Vending machines are lethal. Yes, 13 people a year get killed from vending machines. Cats can sense when their owners are dying. Babies have more bones than adults. Spiders can survive in space. Your rectum is the first part of your body to develop, which means in one point of your life, you are just a... Several species of birds keep cool by defecating on themselves. Your stomach lining blushes when you do. On average, 173,000 people die per day. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 15. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Up until the 1980s, some doctors didn't believe newborns could feel pain. There is a book called The Wreck of the Titan. It predicted the Titanic ship tragedy, and it was written 14 years before it happened. Until the 20th century, human remains were used in the making of medicine. Climate change is making Middle Eastern countries colder and Western countries warmer. There is a church in Czech Republic called the Sedlik Ossuary, and it's decorated with human bones. Another fact about this church: it holds the skeletons of 70,000 people. 4-year-old Dorothy Good was the youngest person to be accused of witchcraft. While Ted Bundy was a psychology major at the University of Washington, he worked at Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 16. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. One of your photos that you have today will be used in your funeral. There are more slaves today than any other time in history. According to the founder of the Walk Free Foundation, there are 46 million slaves in the world today. Your eyes can still move after your death for 15 to 30 seconds. Watching TV for more than 2 hours a day can shorten your life expectancy by 1.4 years. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, no one knows where that signal came from. A lit candle causes more than 15,000 house fires every year. Spider rain could happen at any moment above you. Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the 2017 version of It, was born in 1990, the year the original It was released. Yeah, these are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient book full of symbols and drawings that no one can translate till this day. Dracula was based on a real person, Vlad Dracula, a Romanian ruler that very much enjoyed watching people bleed to death. In 1963, the Bronx Zoo had an exhibition called The Most Dangerous Animal in the World. It was a mirror. 2 fishermen used their dead friend's ashes as fishing bait, and they caught the world's biggest carp. These are how Halloween costumes looked like in the 30s. If Earth stopped spinning for 1 second, everything and everyone will die instantly. A new homeowner found an old doll boarded up in his wall holding a note saying she killed a family in this house. This house is named the John Lawson House, and nobody knows who lives here. Every day, this porch is occupied by a number of female mannequins. The number of mannequins, the positions they're in, and the clothes they wear are changed every day, and no one knows who is doing this and why. Like for part 18.